Let me ask you something that might sting for a moment. If school was really designed to prepare you for life, then why did it never teach you how money actually works? Think about it. You spent years learning the names of rivers, the formula for photosynthesis, and maybe how to solve an equation you never used again. The one thing that controls freedom, choices, even your future wealth, was never part of the lesson plan. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The system was never built to make you wealthy. It was built to make you dependable, a good worker, a reliable cog in the machine. And if you've ever felt that deep frustration working harder but never feeling ahead, that's not your fault. That's by design. But here's the mystery I want you to lean into right now. What schools never taught you about building real wealth isn't just about money, it's about knowledge. The kind of knowledge that separates those who break free from those who stay stuck. Imagine this for a second. You're 40, 50, maybe 60 years old, and you look back at all the hours, all the effort you gave. And yet, the gap between the life you wanted and the life you live feels wider than ever. That gap isn't laziness. It isn't lack of intelligence. It's a missing piece of education, an education about wealth that no traditional classroom dared to give you. And here's the part you can't miss. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact principles schools ignored, and why once you understand them, you'll never look at money or your future the same way again. So stay with me, because the next few minutes could be the turning point you didn't know you were waiting for. Most people grow up believing wealth is built the same way school taught us to succeed. Study hard, get good grades, land a stable job, and climb the ladder. But have you noticed that even those who followed that formula often end up stuck in the same cycle? A cycle of earning, spending, and waiting for the next paycheck. That's because school trained you for security, not abundance. The real education about wealth begins with unlearning. Unlearning the idea that money only comes from trading hours for dollars. That is the first trap. If every dollar you make requires your physical presence and your time, then your growth will always be capped. Wealthy people know something different. They don't just work for money, they make money work for them. Think of it like this. While most people are taught to swim endlessly just to stay afloat, the wealthy are building boats. They're using knowledge, strategy, and systems to carry them forward even when they're not in the water. The boat is leverage, investments, assets, skills that multiply instead of drain. But here's what makes it so powerful. You don't need millions to start building your boat. You need awareness. You need to recognize that wealth isn't built from what you know in school, but from what you discover outside it. Things like how that really works, how axes shape your life, and how small daily financial decisions compound over time. This is the real hidden curriculum of life. And the moment you start paying attention to it, the world looks very different. Suddenly, instead of feeling trapped in the maze, you start to see the exit doors that were there all along. Here's the strange part. Schools made it seem like intelligence was measured by grades, test scores, or how much trivia you could remember. But in the real world, intelligence is measured by your ability to solve problems, create value, and adapt when everything changes. And nothing reveals this more clearly than money. Wealth doesn't come to the person with the most knowledge stored in their head. It comes to the person who knows how to use knowledge. You might know someone who never finished college, but they figured out how to start a small business, invest in real estate, or build something people needed. Meanwhile, another person with degrees on the wall is still asking, was am I always broke? The truth is, the market doesn't pay you for effort. It doesn't pay you for how many hours you studied or how much you memorized. It pays you for results and for value. And value is created when you understand what schools never taught you. That money flows to those who solve problems better, faster, and more creatively than anyone else. This is why so many people feel a disconnect in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. They realize the education they worked so hard for never translated into the freedom they were promised. That's when some people sink deeper into frustration, while others begin their real education, the education that leads to wealth. And here's the part that should light a fire inside you. It's never too late. Some of the wealthiest and wisest people didn't figure this out until later in life. What matters isn't when you start, it's that you start. Because the moment you begin shifting from working for money to making money work for you, your entire life begins to transform. Think about this carefully. If wealth is about problem solving, then why didn't school ever teach you how to manage your emotions, deal with failure, or take calculated risks? Because that's where real wealth is built, not in memorizing answers, but in facing the unknown with courage. Failure, for example, is treated like a disease in school. You're punished for the wrong answer, graded down, and maybe even shamed. But in wealth building, failure is feedback. It's tuition. Every mistake carries a lesson, and those lessons compound into wisdom and no textbook could ever give you. The people who build real wealth are simply the ones willing to fail forward, to keep learning until they find what works. Another thing schools never touched: networks. Your relationships, your connections. The people you learn from and surround yourself with, these are more valuable than any single skill. You might have heard the phrase, your network is your net worth. And it's true. Wealthy people don't try to know everything themselves. They align with mentors, peers, and teams that multiply their strengths and cover their weaknesses. And let's not forget about time. School trained you to think in terms of hours, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. But wealth requires a different lens. You begin to see time as your most precious currency. Instead of trading it away endlessly, you start building systems, assets, and habits that give time back to you. This is the deeper lesson most people never uncover. Wealth is not just money in the bank, it's control. Control over your time, your choices, your destiny. That control is what school never offered, but what life demands you fight to reclaim. So now you see it, schools never taught you how to build wealth because they weren't designed to. They prepared you to fit into a system, not to break free from it. Real wealth is built when you decide to step outside that system, take control of your time, and use knowledge in a way that multiplies instead of drains. The real education begins when you ask different questions. Instead of how can I earn more hours of pay, ask how can I create something that pays me even when I'm not working. Instead of what job is secure, ask what value can I provide that others desperately need, as shift alone changes everything. And remember this, it's not too late. Whether you're 40, 50, 60, or beyond, wealth isn't built overnight. It's built through consistent choices, through small shifts in mindset that compound into extraordinary results. The future doesn't belong to the smartest on paper. It belongs to the ones who are willing to learn what school refused to teach. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let this be just another video you nod your head at and forget. Let it be the spark. Let it be the turning point where you decide, enough of the old system. I'm ready to build something real. And if you're serious about taking the next step, then you cannot miss the next video. Why hard work alone won't make you rich. It will reveal the hidden trap that keeps people broke even when they're giving everything they have. If you found value here, subscribe to Wisdom, record your knowledge source, because your journey to real wealth is just beginning.